we are back in Shrek corner because we are dealing with Shrek 2, which happens to be one of my, if not my, favorite movie of all time. Yes, that's Shrek 2. Why is it so great? Well, you're going to find out right now. I don't even know what to say about Shrek 2 that can't be said. It's like perfection. It's the best DreamWorks movie. It's one of the best animated movies ever made, to be honest. If there was a ranking for DreamWorks movies, this is the top movie every single time. And if it isn't, then you're wrong. It's not Prince of Egypt. I'm sorry. Shrek 2 opens up like the first movie with a book reading, this time done by a character we don't know yet. Reading about a backstory of Fiona, which is actually pretty interesting. We kind of got a little bit of it, but here we get more of it. That's right, we get more character development in this movie, like a good sequel should do. A lot of bad sequels will ruin characters. 2034. But this movie, we actually get more development from our characters. We get introduced to one of our new characters, Prince Charming, who is a femboy who wants to rescue Fiona, and he's really into himself.
And most handsome in all the land.
So Charming thinks he's going to save Fiona, but there's a gender-confused wolf there instead. Of course, he was way too late because she already got rescued by Shrek, and she is no longer there.
Where is she? She's on her honeymoon. Honeymoon? With who?
Whom is Shrek, and he and Fiona just got married in the last movie. Remember that? Of course you did. It was a great movie, and if you didn't see it, then what the hell are you doing watching this movie? Is this real? So Shrek and Fiona are on their honeymoon, referencing movies, shaving together, and having the time of our life, all while a song by Counting Crows plays, written specifically for this movie. A lot of the pop songs now are actually written for this movie, rather than not, like in the first movie. And most of them are really, really good. I would play them, but I don't want copyright stricken, but I'll leave a link to the Shrek 2 soundtrack. It's really good. Also, for some reason, Ariel here wants to steal Fiona's man, but she doesn't want any of that shit, and she literally kills Ariel. Disney also did the same recently with their terrible remakes. Of course, this wouldn't be a Shrek movie about Donkey, because of course Donkey's in this movie. Why wouldn't he be? He's a popular character that somebody who saw Shrek made a spin-off movie. Some producer saw Shrek and made a movie about Donkey. I'm not even joking, that exists. Look at. So Donkey kills Shrek's fish, even though they ain't his, but Donkey put the fish in the correct bowl the next time. But he really wants to avoid his wife, who is moody lately, so he wants to hang out with Shrek. But Shrek doesn't want to hang out with him.
All time, to be together. Just with each other. Alone.
Donkey's the only one to bother Shrek, as we get
Sergeant Pompous in the Fancy Pants Club Band.
Enough, Reggie.
So Fiona's a princess. In this universe, they don't ignore the fact that princesses obviously have parents, being a king and queen. So they get invited by the king and queen of far, far away to go to a ball. Of course, Shrek doesn't want to go because he's an ogre and is used to people throwing pitchforks and torches at him. But through some talking through, he gets to go there anyway.
Yeah, right. Somehow I don't think I'll be welcome at the country club. We are not going, and that's final.
So Donkey tags along with Shrek and Fiona as they go on their way to Far, Far Away, but Far, Far Away is very far away.
The kingdom of far, far away, Donkey? That's where we're going. Far, far away.
So Donkey discovers a way to pass time, and is by annoying Shrek.
Oh! For 5 minutes. Could you not be yourself? For 5 minutes! Ah!
Oh, by the way, if you're not laughing your ass off at that scene, then you really have to check your sense of humor. So they finally make it to Far, Far Away, and it is actually one of the best designed areas in pretty much any DreamWorks movie, in my opinion. It's a combination of medieval, buildings and castles and stuff like that, with a mix of Beverly Hills strip malls and stuff like that. There's actually a lot of detail in these areas, even if they are just parodies of famous buildings. And the atmosphere is great. It's a perfect level for a video game. If you don't remember this level from the video game, then you're really missing out. So the whole kingdom gets to see Princess Fiona and her new husband, and they are a little shocked, including the king and queen. This is not exactly what they expected. Also, side note, I am really jealous of Singapore that they get their own version of Far, Far Away, while in Orlando, the closest one theme park that I live to, not really that close, is that they got rid of Shrek 4D. Universal, why the hell did you get rid of Shrek 4D? Fuck you guys. I mean, I'm about to go there anyway because they're making a Mario section, but still, screw you for getting rid of Shrek. We then enter one of the best scenes in the movie. I say that, but like every scene in this movie isn't the best scene in the movie, but this one really is. The dinner scene is one of the best scenes in pretty much any movie, for the the awkwardness and the comedy. It's an awkward family reunion. Meeting the in-laws is very hard, and there's a pizza cutter there. I don't know what they use that for. I guess for cutting pizza, but wouldn't it already be cut by the servants? Oh well. Luckily for me, I never had to relate to this because I never had to meet any in-laws with my fiance. That's like, it's kind of lovely, you know. She has to deal with my in-laws, but I don't have to deal with any of hers because she doesn't really have any. Lucky for me. Anyway, let's go back to the movie. So it turns out the king is racist against ogres, as he reveals here.
Eat. I just started eating.
Harold!
What's that supposed to mean?
Dad, it's great, okay?
Well, for his type, yes.
My type?
Now look at this lovely meal. Now, do you want to eat that turkey and that lobster? Well, too bad, because no one gets to eat it, because Shrek and the king decide to destroy everything. By the way, the king and queen have names. They're Harold and Lillian. But for some reason, the credits of this movie don't even list that. Like, how can your own credits not remember the characters' names? Why? So the dinner is a disaster. The pig flies through the air, and everyone yells at each other.
Harold! Shrek!
Fiona!
Mom! Harold!
So the dinner scene was just too much. Her father and her husband can't get along, so Fiona cries a tear. And that summons the main villain. So, the fairy godmother is probably one of the best villains of all time, and one of the main reasons why is the themes of Shrek. She basically does what Farquaad did in the first movie, but 10,000 times better. She has a lot of power, but most of the time she's just manipulating the other characters around her, and pretty successfully and in very creative ways. She has a way, she basically represents the perfectness of the fairy tale world, while Shrek is kind of the down in the dumps, not down in the dumps, but kind of the ugly side of it. Not ugly as in like bad, but ugly as in like not attractive. Princess, the fairy godmother wants to make everything perfect in her vision, as she manipulates everything from behind the scenes. In fact, there's a whole fan theory that she's the one who caused Fiona to turn into an ogre in the first place, so that she can have her son marry Fiona, because that's how much of the stuff behind the scenes that people don't think she's pulling. She's a very interesting character, and she's very evil. Oh, spoiler for this movie, I'm actually in this movie. I'm not even joking. I'm right here in this scene.
Carriage to ride in style, sexy man boy chauffeur.
Yes, I bet you didn't know that I was in one of the best anime movies of all time. Yep, that's me. I mean, it says right there on his shirt, Kyle. That's my name. I'm right there. So Shrek and Fiona have a fight about Shrek not giving enough in their relationship. And this seems apparently the longest scene to take to work out because they want to make the argument realistic. I don't know all the details, but I remember that from watching the commentary a while back. It's pretty interesting commentary. I recommend watching it because Shrek 2 is the best. So watching Shrek 2 with additional information is always the best in the world. So the king is still pissed off that Fiona married an ogre, but the queen doesn't really give a shit. She's like, be more open-minded, you prude, you old ass fucker. You're in Valiant, so you should give some slack here. Literally, the guy who voices the king was in Valiant. That fucking movie sucks ass. But, it seems the king has some dirty laundry, as he has been a pawn to the fairy godmother his whole entire career. As it turns out, the fairy godmother has been orchestrating his whole entire career, because he started off in a very different position, we'll get to later. And she is none other than the mother of Prince Charming, who, as I said previously, she wants him to marry Prince Fiona so she can have even more control of the government, which is actually a pretty nefarious plan. Fairy Godmother showcases how more villainous she is by saying something that's very cancelable in today's society.
Some gender-confused wolf telling him...
Be careful there, Fairy Godmother. You can get canceled for saying stuff like that.
You force me to do something I really don't want to do.
Where are we?
Well, hi there. Welcome to Friar's Fat Boy. May I take your order?
My diet is ruined. I hope you're happy.
So the fairy godmother tells King Harold to kill off Shrek or get rid of him any way possible. So he decides to hire a hitman. And he gets a hit from which hitman to hire from none other than one of the best characters in the Shrek universe. Dolores here, played by none other than the late Larry King.
Hey, buddy, let me clue you in. There's only one fella can handle a job like that, and frankly, he don't like to be disturbed.
So we don't get to see the hitman what it looks like right now, even though we already know this character, but I'm going to leave it in suspense until we see him. But this character is one of the best characters in the Shrek universe. Trust me on that, pal. So Shrek has some hard time getting some sleep. He needs to turn the other cheek, or something like that. That's what the song goes. Yeah, this band called Eels or something like that. Is that what they call themselves? The Eels? They were in Shrek 1. They did a song, and they're even in Shrek 3. Well, their song is about how Shrek needs some sleep. We also get a foreshadowing as Shrek looks up at the ceiling and sees the next movie starring Justin Timberlake, and he realizes like he does not want to see that bullshit because that movie's fucking awful. So for some reason, Shrek thinks it's a good idea to snoop on Fiona's old diary when she was a kid. I mean, I don't know what you expect to get out of it, but instead of seeing anything interesting, he just sees the fact that Fiona was a simp over Prince Charming, even though she never even knew who Prince Charming was. But whatever.
No. I was just reading a scary book.
So Donkey and Shrek go on a little mini adventure. They're supposed to meet Fiona's dad for a hunting trip, but guess what? He's not there because, as we remember, he set up a hitman, and we're about to find out who that hitman is, and if it even is a man. Because it's not a man, it's a...
Look, a little cat.
This is Puss in Boots, who has a cape, but gets rid of it immediately. But yeah, he is the main character that's introduced into Shrek 2 and becomes a big mainstay, so much in fact that he got his own spin-off series, which is kind of insane thinking about it. How many characters introduced in the sequels get a spin-off series? You're supposed to kill Shrek here. Because if you don't know the original Puss in Boots fairy tale, which you probably don't because the original Puss in Boots fairy tale is fucking garbage. Usually Shrek makes fun of fairy tales, but here they actually made Puss in Boots a really bad fairy tale into a really cool character, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, in the fairy tale, Puss in Boots kills an ogre at one point. So yeah. And he's also based off the character Zorro, which is a reference because his voice actor, Antonio Banderas, also played that character. And that's a whole mouthful of words. And Puss in Boots also has a mouthful of something, but in this case, it's a hairball. I cried when I lost this Burger King toy when I was a kid. Yeah, it's not that great of a toy, but I love this character that much.
What you do with him?
I say we take the sword and neuter him right here. Give him the Bob Barker treat.
So Puss in Boots is actually pretty easily defeated, especially since how big his feats are in the later movies, but we'll get to that when we get to that. But I guess the hairball really fucked him up. And Shrek figures out that Puss in Boots is hired by King Harold, and that gets him down the dumps. But then he remembers that if I shed a tear, happiness is only a teardrop away.
Happiness. I just wish I could make her happy. Hold the phone. Happiness. A teardrop away.
So the reason why Shrek wants to get happiness is because he thinks, because of how everyone views him, that he's not good enough for Fiona, and he wants to make a change for her. Since Puss in Boots wasn't killed by Shrek, he decides that he wants to be part of the gang to help him out because he was spared. That's how he works. That's how his character works. Shrek doesn't want to do it initially, but then he sees the cute eye.
Shrek!
Oh, come on, donkey. Look at him in his wee little boots. You know, how many cats can wear boots? Honestly.
So Puss in Boots becomes a permanent member of the Shrek team until he leaves in Puss in Boots' Last Wish, but we'll get to that when we get to that. And he even purrs. And yeah, he doesn't betray Shrek. He's a great, loyal friend. And he's awesome. He's an awesome character. Meanwhile, the king decides it's a good time to eat some dog food.
Mmm, exquisite. What do you call this dish?
That would be the dog's breakfast, Your Majesty.
So they go to Fairy Godmother's cottage to see if they can get some help fixing his prom. But in order to get inside, they had to pretend they're from the Union.
That's okay, buddy. We're from the Union.
The Union?
We represent the workers in all magical industries, both evil and benign.
Oh, all right.
Are you feeling at all degraded or oppressed?
A little. Well, we don't even have dental.
They don't even have dental.
I gotta mention this, but yeah, one of these potions here, and it's hard to see, said Viagra. Had to point that out. So, Shrek catches Fairy Godmother making a love potion that maybe will appear later in the movie. And she basically says, "Fuck you, ogres don't get to live happily ever after."
Don't live happily ever after.
All right, look, lady.
Don't you point those dirty green sausages at me!
Shrek goes in the factory anyway to see if he can find a potion that will make him handsome, but instead he gets the happily ever after potion. And they don't have a lot of time because Donkey ruins their cover and they have to escape. So Shrek and Donkey decide to take the happily ever after potion, but it doesn't seem to have any effect. Well, it has one effect. So the potion, I guess, takes effect now because of the water, maybe? I'm not too sure. And Donkey and Shrek pass out, and Shrek kills Puss in Boots by laying on him. Just kidding, Puss in Boots has 9 lives. Well, he might have wasted them all at some point, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So when Shrek wakes up, we're in his POV, by the way, it's these 3 women are sipping over him, which is very odd, because usually people try to kill him. But in this case, something's different. Ah! Uh-oh. Yeah, he is no longer an ogre. Shrek has a cute button nose, thick wavy locks, and most of all, a tut round buttocks. This is one of the biggest things in this movie. This is something that you wouldn't see in a lot of movies, but yeah, Shrek, has a very iconic ogre look, they decide to make him a human, which is a very risky move that really paid off. One, it really showcases Shrek's character and how much he's willing to change for Fiona. It showcases his love. And also we get to see Donkey change too. Donkey finally gets to be what he always wanted to be, a true stallion. And he really is into it, if you couldn't tell here.
Please, I'm trying.
And I don't know why this has always bothered me, but this line read that Puss in Boots give is very weird sounding, and it only happens in this one little scene. It's the only thing I have a problem with this movie. I mean, you listen to it for yourself. I don't know why he reads the line like this.
Potion, Mr. Buzz is very...
Look at me, Shrek. I'm trotting. That's some quality potion. What's in that stuff?
Oh, don't take the potion, Mr. Buzz is very bad.
Why does he say the line like that? Like, why? It's the only time he ever does that voice impression. I don't get it. If I ever met Antonio Banderas, I asked, like, why did you do that weird line read like that? And that's why I'd be asking. I'm not even joking. So Shrek and Donkey and Puss too, they head out into town, and Shrek is very shocked when the villagers no longer want to kill him and think that he is sexy. And I'll admit, human Shrek is very fuckable. Shrek went through some changes, and it turns out that Fiona also went through some changes, and she looks like a human again, much like in Shrek 1. Unfortunately for Shrek, Fairy Godmother's laid out a trap for him.
Hello, handsome.
Of course, Fairy Godmother planned ahead and has Prince Charming pretend to be Shrek, but he doesn't really do a good job of it.
Mom, it's me, Shrek.
So yeah, they think that he's Shrek, even though it's obviously not, even Fiona knows. But the main thing is that Fairy Godmother tricks Shrek into believing that Prince Charming is better for her, Fiona, than he is. Because even though he looks like a human now, deep down he will always be an ogre. She really plays into the insecurities that we know about that Shrek has from the first movie, and even in this one. It's actually really great to see that happen. I know it's not great, but at the same time it's like great writing to have a villain try to manipulate a character so successfully. Like, you know that it makes no sense for Shrek to leave Fiona, but in this way you kind of can see why he would do it. He thinks he's doing the best thing for her, because he cares more about her than he does about his own feelings, which is actually kind of an interesting dynamic there. Of course, later he learns that that's stupid, but from here it's pretty great. I love it. I love this movie a lot. So the Shrek scam isn't working, and King Harold doesn't want to be a part of it anymore. But the Fairy Godmother manipulates him again.
Helped you with your happily ever after, and I can take it away just as easily. Is that what you want? Is it?
No.
So Shrek happens to overhear this whole conversation and tries to get away, but doesn't really work at all. So the original fairy tale creatures are watching TV at Shrek's house. When I mean by TV, I mean a magic mirror. And Gingy wants to flip over to Wheel of Torture.
Hate these ball shows. They bore me to tears. Flip over to Wheel of Torture.
We got a white Bronco heading east into the forest.
During this night's period, you get to see the time when Shrek and Donkey and Puss get arrested. And of course, you couldn't tell from that first clip, there is an O.J. Simpson reference. There's also a drug reference.
Catnip.
That's no mine.
So during this scene, Fiona and her father have a talk. And this is when he's supposed to basically drug her with a love potion, but King Harold decides that it's not, that he makes the wrong choice here, and decides that even though this might kill him, he decides to not go along with Fairy Godmother's plan here. So, because Shrek's friends saw him get arrested on TV, they decide to save them in jail. Of course, this is how they're strung up. Kind of funny how Doggy's hanging up by the heels, but what's even funnier is the fact that Pinocchio is wearing ladies' underwear.
I'm wearing ladies' underwear.
Are you?
I most certainly am not.
So Shrek concocts a plan, seeing that he was wrong and needs to save Fiona from getting basically drug raped by some Prince Charming asshole. And this is when we get the iconic return of the best scene of Shrek 1.
Do you still know the Muffin Man?
Well, sure, he's down on Drury Lane. Why?
Because we're gonna need flour. Lots and lots of flour.
Gingy!
So the Muffin Man, who also created Gingy, by the way, in this universe, created a giant gingerbread man to attack well, not really attack, just to get in. So, yeah, but he's too busy drinking coffee. But this brings us to, well, we're not yet, but we're getting close to one of the best scenes in any film ever. The right before that, Prince Charming is failing at being Shrek even more.
What are you doing?
I'm just playing the part, Fiona.
Is that glitter on your lips?
Cherry flavored. Want a taste?
Because of his failing, Fairy Godmother has to help him out by putting on a song. And this song, I mean, do I even really need to tell you what it is? If you know anything about this movie, you will remember this scene. This scene is one of the best scenes in film history, let's be honest. It is the best scene ever. It's a villain song that's also a hero song in a montage, and it's paced perfectly. There's a lot going on. It's amazing, and if you haven't seen the Holding Out for a Hero scene in Shrek 2, you're really missing out. So during one of the best scenes in animation history, and film history I meant to say, Shrek and the gang break into the Far, Far Away, but after a lot of foam gets poured on Mongo. Unfortunately for us, Mongo dies, very tragically, and we shed a tear. But Shrek has to go on because he has to save Fiona. Also, Puss in Boots decides it's time to repay his debt in this scene. So Prince Charming tries to put the moves on Fiona, but he is cock-blocked by
Hey, you! Back away from my wife.
Charming tries to kiss Fiona so that she'll fall in love with him, but it doesn't work. So Fairy Godmother tries to kill Shrek, but the king actually sacrifices himself, and the spell bounces off him and kills the Fairy Godmother. R.I.P. one of the best villains. And there she is, she's gone. Also, we get to see what the king's true form is. A frog. Yeah, it turns out the Fairy Godmother granted his wish so that he can be with the princess at the time, and of course, that ended up making her the kind of a pseudo ruler of Far, Far Away. But now he's back as a frog, and yeah, he was a little biased, but he admits that he was wrong, and that he sees now that Shrek is the one that Fiona should be with, and yeah, and he's a frog, by the way, he has a little bit of warts now. He should get some cream for that. So Shrek gives Fiona an option. He can be handsome for her, and she can be beautiful for all eternity if she gives him a little smooch. But she decides to not do that.
I want what any princess wants. To live happily ever after. With the ogre I married.
This is the end of the movie, so of course we get a dance party ending. At least it makes sense here because it's a ball, unlike the Emoji Movie where they dance for no reason. And yeah, everyone's celebrating and having a good time. This is the end of the movie, or at least it would be. But if you have, well, additional copy, or if you just see this movie in theaters, there is an end credit scene. Also, Shrek kills the dog here. I thought he did. But later on, you can see in the crowd, the dog's there. I thought the dog died. Oh well, I thought that forever the dog died there. Until a later release watchings I saw, the dog's still there. But anyway, here's the end credit scene. Yeah, the dragon bitch wife comes back and she brings babies, or dronkies. Yes, the dronkies didn't appear in Shrek the Third first. They appear at the end of Shrek 2, which is something you wouldn't know unless you saw the end credits. Of course I did, because I saw this movie a billion times as a kid. And if you watch the end credits, you get an extra bonus. If you own the DVD or the VHS version, you get an extra scene. So at the party, for some reason, Simon Cowell comes on and says, I'm going to start Far, Far Away Idol. And so a bunch of Shrek characters are like, let's sing and dance and let it all out, I guess, in Far, Far Away Idol, the bonus feature you get for owning the movie. Of course, the DVD version is better because you actually can vote. The VHS version says, go to fucking website at the end. And yeah, it's pretty funny. If you haven't seen it, you watch it on YouTube. It's free. It's where this clip's coming from. But yeah, if you want to vote, like I did as a kid, watch the watch the DVD version. But of course, only a couple characters can win, like Shrek, Fiona, Donkey, Puss, and Gingerbread Man. Every other character, even if they're good at singing, like the mice, which the mice should have won, for some reason this scene will happen.
And the next Far, Far Away Idol is... No, you've got to be joking. Nope, it's me, everyone!
For what is a man?
I can't tell you how many times I saw this scene, because I wanted to see every character have their own winning animation, but no, we get to see him sing this. And also, if you watch this version, usually you'll see this ending. This is the default ending. But hey, that's it. That's Far, Far Away Idol and Shrek 2. It is still the best movie ever made, or one of the best movies. I can't decide if The Incredibles or this is better. I don't think both movies are animated and came out the same exact year. Shrek 2, I mean, I don't know what else to say. It gets a 5 out of 5, a 10 out of 10. This movie saved DreamWorks. They're going bankrupt. This movie came out, made close to $1 billion, still their highest grossing film to this date. I mean, if quality reference is relation to money, then obviously this film is a good example of that, and it is in my opinion. Shrek 2 is a film that caused the Shrek mania at the time. Shrek and SpongeBob were the biggest cartoons characters of the 2000s, which was the era I grew up in. And there's Shrek merchandise everywhere, and this one really kickstarted that. Shrek 1 was already a huge hit, and this one just cemented that. Shrek was here to stay, and yeah, he's never left since, even if the movies have been stagnant in recent years, because the franchise technically ended. Shrek 2 is easily the best one. It somehow topped the first one, which is already a great movie. This is a movie I saw as a kid over and over again. I loved it. I remember fond memories of watching this late at night, voting on Far, Far Away Idol, and just going to sleep afterwards. The video game is also pretty fun. I've been using the video game music for Shrek 2 the last couple of reviews, because 1, I'm lazy, and 2, I like it. Shrek 2 game's great, the movie's great, the book's great. I did book reading. The merchandise great. It gave us Puss in Boots, one of the best Shrek characters. And without him, we wouldn't have Puss in Boots' Last Wish. So this movie is important for another great animated DreamWorks movie. So you know what? This movie deserves more than 5 stars. It deserves like 10 stars, but I can't rate that high. There's only like very minor problems. Like one, Puss in Boots has a weird line reading. Fiona's not in the movie that much, but it still makes up for that. And also, Dragon is kind of copped out in the movie a little bit. Not that it really matters that much, but she was ran out in the movie. She was actually supposed to be in the original version. In fact, she was going to transform into a Pegasus when Donkey got the potion, but that was eventually scrapped. The original idea for the movie was also ended up being part of the Shrek 3D/Shrek 4D, or the Ghost Lord Farquaad, which I'm glad that was in the actual movie. It's a fine short, but it's not a movie worthy. This movie had a lot of stuff going for it, and unfortunately, the Shrek franchise, other than The Last Wish, has not reached this height again, as we'll see with the next Shrek movie. And unfortunately for me, the next movie isn't very good, which is ironic because DreamWorks released one of their best movies and one of their worst movies in this same exact year. But we gotta rank Shrek 2 before we get to that. So unsurprisingly, Shrek 2 is the top of the list, and this is not going to change. I don't think anything tops Shrek 2. The closest thing would be Shrek 1, and that has never been the case. I liked Shrek, but even as a kid, I thought Shrek 2, that's the best one. That's the one I always wanted to watch. Though mostly because of the fact that Puss in Boots was in it, who was a character I really liked as a kid. He's still pretty awesome, but now I like the movie more for more reasons. I always liked other elements of the movie, but as a kid, for some reason, I really liked the fact that Puss in Boots in there. I don't know why. I'm not even a cat person. I'm a dog person, but I always liked that character. I don't know why. Anyway, so this is the tier list, and yeah, Shrek 2 is up in S tier, and that's not about to change. And lastly, our villain ranking. It's not surprising to see that I ranked Fairy Godmother in S tier, and she'll probably be up there for the rest of the DreamWorks ranking. She is quite possibly one of the perfect villains. She represents the villains of the Shrek franchise very well, that being the societal split between the fairy tale creatures and the regular humans who prefer perfection, like for Lord Farquaad. She is threatening, at the same time being funny. She can She has great musical numbers. She has a great presence. Her voice actress, Jennifer Sanders, does an amazing job playing this character. And everything about the character, basically perfection. The ways that most of her schemes are just manipulating other characters successfully is something that I always appreciate in a villain. I like when they're crafty over just doing generic evil stuff. And she does pretty evil stuff, to be honest, but they're more hidden in the background to try to create a perfect world in a more subtle way. Unlike where Farquaad just says, I want to make a perfect world. So yeah, she's top S tier, and I mean, if you don't believe she's S tier, all you need to say is holding out for a hero, and that's all you need to know. Stay tuned for next time, because we're looking at Shark Tale. See you then.